Well, this is another really cool guitar. This is a customer's guitar. He got it, sent it straight to me for an evaluation. 1948 Martin D-28. Mid 40s, mid 40s, maybe early 40s. 44. 44 to 49. Probably my favorite time period on Martin Dreadnoughts, even more so than the 30s. I like 30s, don't get me wrong. If I was going to have a 30s, I'd be head over heels. But I really like 40s, like the dates I just gave you. The reason I like them is because, number one, Tony Rice used the 1948 D-28 on his first three albums, on the guitar album, on the Rounder 44 J.D. Crowe album, and on the California Autumn album. And that tone on the bluegrass, on the guitar album, that's the one with the Salt Creek, Freeborn Man, Faded Love, Reuben. The tone of that guitar is so aggressive and bold and powerful. I always thought that was the antique until, till the internet came around and we got to know more and more and stuff. And I always thought the antique was on Rounder 44, and it's not. That's the Hilo Brown 1948 D-28, which is what this is. So when this came up and the owner said, you want to check it out, I'm like, yeah, I want to check it out. Because 48, yeah. And my favorite D18, out of all the D18s I've ever played, I sat in a room one time with a really, really good, popular, well-known, that individual guitar, 1930s, 7, D18, 1939 D18, and a 46 D18. And if I could have left the room with any one of those, never to sell them, I'll have to keep it for life, it would have been the 46 D18 that I had worked on many times, including taking the back off and getting the braces glued out. And that 46 was just, first of all, the neck is just, oh man, that's a neck to die for. And so is this one. It's a chunky neck. It's even taper up and down the neck. So if you take this taper, this fatness is half up here, and you take it back here to the first fret, that's what this guitar's got. It's got a chunky, and I love 1 3/4 inch necks. So what this feels like is a very big 1 11/16, because it is 11/16, but it's big. And so it gives me the feel of a 1 3/4. It's a hefty feel. It's not a slim little dainty feel. This guitar's got a fabulous neck on it, and that 46 D18 was the most perfect neck in the world. They tend to be balanced a little bit more because they're not scalloped, they're not forward X. The X on this guitar is way back there. Man, this is almost the 50s, I'm not sure when they shipped it. I can't even reach it. I can't reach the X with that much finger in there. So this X is way back here. This is definitely not. This is almost the 50s. I don't know when they shifted to that strange X position. There's the forward X of the 30s. There's the rear X of the modern guitars. But there's another position in there in the 50s in which that X is way back. And the bridge plate is consequently very, very small. They are tiny little bridge plates. I've replaced a couple of them, and I've got a template for 50s D-28 bridge plate, and I mean it's this big. You can't even get a K&K pickup on it. They're small. Wow, this one's way back there. So they're non-scalloped, straight braces, mid 40s. Let me think. I gotta think of my timeline here. When did they stop scalloping? 42. In between, there's a time period there, but in the early 40s to the mid late 40s, in which the braces are tapered. But this is not a tapered brace. I looked inside of it. It's straight brace. So I thought it was going to be tapered, but it's straight brace. Straight brace, Sitka top. This guitar is essentially a 50s. It really is essentially a 50s D-28. I love 50s D-28s. But in the 50s, the necks started to get slimmer sometimes. Whereas in 48, you're pretty safe. 45, 46, 47, 48, you're pretty safe on getting one of these chunky necks on here. So that's the guitar. Sitka spruce top, I said that. It's got a popsicle bush in it. It's got a small maple rosewood bridge plate. The top on this guitar is absolutely fabulous. I mean, it takes 80 years. How old is this guitar now? We got 48, we got 58, 68, 78, 88, 98, 08, 18, 70 years. 73, 74 years old. Wow. Top on this is fabulous, and that's because it takes that long to really break in. But there's a sturdy top. It's got Cleason tuners on it. This guitar is pretty much 100. I think it's 100% original. Original bridge, and original finish, original neck, original tuners. John Arnold has looked at it, and George Gruner's looked at it. They both gave it very high, interesting remarks. They said it was a guitar that could be played, that could be used for more than just bluegrass. And I understand what they're saying. It's not a boomy guitar. It's very well balanced, as I just demonstrated here. So, we got the guitar in. It is in incredible condition for a 73, 75-year-old guitar, really. It's good. The action is perfect. I got my feeling gauges out and measured it. And it is like just a hair over 90 thousandths of an inch, which is 3/32 of an inch. 90 thousandths of an inch over here, and about 75 on the treble. I could use it just a little bit higher on the treble, but I'm not going to touch it. The saddle break angle is fabulous. I'm sure it's out of neck reset, But whoever did the work, did a perfect, flawless job on it. That's a good-looking neck reset. And saddle height is perfect. It does have antique acoustic bridge pins in it, which is fine because they're period correct. They're authentic. They're appropriate for this guitar. That's the word I want, appropriate. The bridge has been slotted. It was about 3/4 slotted when it came in. And so the pins were sticking up and the pins weren't seated. That drives me crazy. So I seated the pins. It took maybe 2 turns of the reamer. And it looks to me like the pinholes might have been cleaned up at one time with some super glue, because I could see some white in there, which is typical of what happens when you have super glue and you hit it with an accelerator. It gets white. And that's perfectly fine. That's a good way to do this. If the pins get loose and wobbly, you get some super glue in there, you hit it with an accelerator, and then you ream it out again. And that's a perfectly acceptable solution. So, point was, I didn't take any wood off of there. I took this white substance sort of thing, and it just took 2 turns of the reamer, dropped these pins in there to finish the slotting of the bridge. I mean, it was literally just 2 or 3 strokes with the saw. It was nothing. Just cleaning up the slots is really all it was. And I got all the pins seated in there, set nicely. Got a little bit of pick wear right here. That's nothing. A dent here. It's got a crack here from the pick guard. We might talk about relieving this pick guard a little bit and then gluing it back on, not cause any further problems. But I doubt it's going to cause any further problems. I'm sure that was done quite a while ago. Original pick guard on it. Just gorgeous. I love these original pick guards. You just cannot quite get that color anymore. There's the light on it, pretty good. You can get some pretty close, pretty appropriate, but just not quite the same. Okay. What do I think about playing it? At first, I wasn't blown away by it. Not like that 34 D-28, That one just was like magic. This guitar is not magic, but it's fun. And what I discovered is that when you play it, get a little bit more aggressive than I normally am. Man, it stands up. It's got some punch to it. It came in with Elixir Polyrebs, which was not my choice of string. I immediately changed them to the String Joy Foxwoods, which is a coated string, and I put my special gauge on there, which uses light gauge, and the mediums. I didn't like them. First guitar, one of the few guitars I've ever had that I really didn't like. It dropped the volume a little bit. I thought, man, this top needs to be driven with something. So I put full medium gauge, did area XS on here. So XS 17s, the coated string, but they're super light cut. I like coated strings. Squeaky. That brought it up again. It really needs attention to the A and the D in here to really make it bark. Sounded a lot better right away. Growly. So, but my first impressions were like, yeah, it's not magic. But then I played it, and I thought, this thing is really, really balanced, you know? And you got used to that aggression to where if you asked for a pop a note, it popped the note. You know, on a 9-pan hammer, you know, that part, golly, you know. Here we. Whew, man, it's got some spank. I noticed that after playing it. Now let's lighten off a little bit. So let's play something a little bit more mellow and see how it mellows out. Let's play a cross picking thing, you know. Let's see. Good. I mean, it's smooth. I'm going to be really interested to live a little bit with this guitar and get to know it. What I'm going to do now is let's look at the backward sides. We forgot to look at the backward sides. This is Brazilian rosewood, original finish, everything. Hard to get that in the light. Let's get some light. That looks good. Brazilian. That's dark Brazilian, you know. Surprisingly, it's got some figure in it for being the early 40s. It's not necessarily straight grain. There's quite a bit of figure back in here. It's got that deep, rich maroon color to it. The binding is fabulous, man. The binding is... When you get used to some of the newer Martins, they're having a lot of trouble with the binding. It's like, this binding's been on it for 75 years. The guitar is in just spectacular condition. So really, what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare it to my 73, my modified 73 D-28. This is not even a fair comparison, but when I do the 70s and do the 70s overhauls, I'm not thinking of a 30s. I'm thinking specifically of 50s, 40s, and 50s. I'm trying to get that kind of sound out of the 70s. And I think you'll see when I play that 73, you'll hear the similarities in the sounds. And all I'm trying to do is I'm trying to maintain the punchy sound, but I'm trying to make it just a little bit warmer. You know, a little bit warmer. So I always have set the goal of a 50s D-28, a 50s Martin when I do my 70s overhauls. And so here's one. I'm also going to compare it to my D-28 1941 Authentic. But that guitar is at the other place right now. I didn't bring it with me. And next time I get together, I'll compare this guitar to that, because that's a completely separate guitar, completely different guitar. It's got fully scalloped braces, the 41 Authentic. It's got completely scalloped braces. It's got a Adirondack spruce top, and it has Madagascar rosewood back and sides. But the main thing is going to be the spruce top, Adirondack spruce top, and the fully scalloped braces. The X is more mid than this one is, and I think that's going to be an interesting comparison. To compare a very, very old straight bass guitar to a 10-year-old. It's hard to imagine. It's just 2011, 13. It's a 13. It's just 11-year-old, an 11-year-old fully scalloped 1941 copy. I think that's going to be a pretty interesting comparison. So for now, we're going to compare this one to the 1973 D-28, and then I'll probably play it a little bit more just so you have audio of this guitar getting played. So, all right, here we go. I was gonna leap for the open D. Anyway, there's that. Still getting used to it just a little bit. The nut spacing is off a little bit for me. They use more of an equal center to center, which I can't stand. And the spacing is a little odd at places there. Fortunately, this nut is not glued in. So it's going to be a no-brainer for me to put a new nut on it that's more to my likings. But I feel that, when I'm trying to play, the string's not quite there where I expect it to be. So anyway, we're just listening to it.
What a hoss. I mean, man, it's a beast. It's a growling, aggressive guitar. Let's get a capo.
trying to pull that off. I came up with that the other day, and I haven't quite got it memorized. And so let's see if I get it. It's hard to do on this one. Yeah. I'll come back to that some other time. Okay, here we go again. Let's see. I can't get my fingers on that. Something in there. All right. I'll come back to it. I almost had it there. You can see what I'm trying to get. Man, you get this nice... Get it. I'm sure that's a heavy David Greer influence. I'm sure. It's funny. There's a phrase that he does in that. It's I see if I can get this out. 2 minutes and 33 seconds in, and he does this little phrase there, and I heard it, and I got this thing ingrained, and then I sat down and I really listened to it. And it wasn't what I heard the first time, and I like my fuzzy version better, which is a good lesson because if you can pull things out of the fuzz and turn them into your own lick, then it's just kind of like influence but not exact copy, and so it's just this drone repeat thing that I hear, and it's It's there, I've got two drones going at the same time, the D and the B. It's in there. And then I was up the neck fooling around, and I realized I could do it up the neck too, but it's awkward to get this note, so... It's awkward to get that with the pinky, and I can't quite get it with my ring, so that's why I messed that up. I don't know, maybe I could shift it down and just do it all on one string, which is how I came up with it, It's sloppy, but it's in there, So anyway, Bill Cheatham. Wow, I put a capo on this thing. What else done there with a capo? How about whiskey? I normally do an open D, so this is interesting for me. well, that's it. I mean, I test a guitar like that, again, for you guys that are just tuning in. A lot of times I'm playing something that I haven't played in a long time, and I haven't practiced, and I try new things as they come to me here on camera. So there's mistakes in there, but what I'm doing is I'm trying to feel for how reactive the guitar is, because will the guitar work with me, or does it require that I be exactly precise? And this one's so-so, it's pretty good, but being so bright and powerful, it's very critical. It's got no forgiveness to it. Those notes are loud. It's like a Telecaster. When you make a mistake in a Telecaster, the whole world knows it. Les Paul's different because you got more sustain, and you don't have some pedals going on and that kind of thing, and it hides your mistake. Just limits to Jimmy Page, and he's great, don't get me wrong, but he's fairly well known for being a little bit of a sloppy player compared to country Telecaster players, which have to be extremely precise. So this guitar is pretty forgiving, and I think a lot of that's been done. The string spacing is kind of not quite there. When I go reaching for it, it's not quite super comfortable. Golly, it's got a good sound. So 1948 D-28, dude.